Nikki Haley, the never-Trumper turned mega coattail rider turned never-Trumper turned 2024 presidential candidate, has a snowball's chance in hell. It's time for final thoughts. So yesterday, Nikki Haley announced her run for president, and also somewhere paint is drying. Yes, that's about how excited and I venture to guess most of my fellow conservatives are about this announcement. In case you care, here it is in all its glory.
You should know this about me. I don't put up with bullies. And when you kick back, it hurts them more if you're wearing heels. I'm Nikki Haley, and I'm running for president.
The text above her announcement video instructs us to get excited, and well, we didn't, or at least I didn't. I'll be quite frank with you. I don't care for Nikki Haley, and I never have. First of all, it immediately annoys me when candidates come out of the gate playing an identity politics card. That's for the left. And the line about kicking bullies with your high heels is about as cringeworthy as Hillary Clinton telling urban radio she's got hot sauce in her bag, swag. Sure, Nikki Haley looks good on paper. She's a former governor, a former UN ambassador, a child of immigrants, and as she already reminded you, a female. All that looks good on paper, but kind of like paper, I find Nikki Haley to be largely one-dimensional and her authenticity to be paper thin. First of all, back in 2021, she said she wouldn't run in 2024 if Trump ran, so there's that. She's allowed to change her mind, of course, something she's really good at. So let's take a look at the Nikki flip-flop timeline, shall we? In January of 2016, Nikki Haley accused Trump of irresponsible talk. In February of the same year, she dug in those heels on the Never Trump train, saying she wouldn't endorse Trump because he is everything a governor doesn't want in a president. In that same month, at a Marco Rubio rally, she said again of Trump, and I quote, "I will not stop until we fight a man that chooses not to disavow the KKK." In July of 2016, she finally kind of sort of endorsed Trump, and that's when she and her high heels jumped on those mega coattails and rolled them all the way to where she is today. Trump selected her as a UN ambassador in November of 2016, and she remained loyal to him until January 6, 2021, when she jumped off the bandwagon and started plotting her own political future. Even Trump himself said of Haley, "Every time she criticizes me, she uncriticizes me later." Now listen, I don't judge someone by their loyalty to Trump. I really don't. She's not beholden to him, and neither are you, and neither am I, quite frankly, because I'm leaning towards Ron DeSantis because he has a proven track record of leadership, not just talk and BS. He also stays out of the mud and the weeds, something we need in a leader and something the independents and even Democrats can appreciate and maybe even vote for. But her flippity flops on Trump are not why I don't like Nikki Haley. I don't like Nikki Haley because, at least to me, she seems as genuine as a Kardashian booty. When I think of Nikki Haley, I think of McCain, Romney, and Dan Crenshaw in a skirt and heels, of course. She's establishment through and through, but she pretends to be mega when it suits her, not the country, her personally. She's been fluffed by the establishment, and she's not fooling anybody, or at least she ain't fooling me. Plus, she's also got no shot. We all know this is a Don versus Ron race, and that's the only announcement most conservatives give a hoot about, Ron DeSantis. But good for you, Nikki. You got some headlines and a cheesy canned line about heels in there. Good luck. In December of last year, Elon Musk first teased the release of the Fauci Files, with this tweet that seemingly indicated he had some stuff on old T. Fauci that wasn't so flattering, perhaps even criminal. We waited, nothing came. Then on New Year's Day 2023, when Elon Musk teased the release of the Fauci Files yet again, we still got nothing. We've learned a lot about big tech collusion with big government and big pharma, but we've yet to get the much anticipated Fauci Files in all their glory. So why is that? Did Biden shut it down? Was Elon threatened? We can only speculate, but here to help me do just that is the man that is no stranger to censorship or the great COVID cover-up, best-selling author Alex Berenson. Alex, it's great to have you back, and I want to start out with that very simple question. Where are these Fauci Files?
Well, I mean, I fear that the answer is going to be less exciting and conspiratorial than the audience might hope. So look, I actually was out in San Francisco at Twitter headquarters in early 2023. Elon asked me to come out because I think the people he'd asked initially to take a look, he felt like weren't getting to the heart of the Fauci part of the Fauci files, the Fauci part of the Twitter files, and then I wrote a piece in a few days later about some collusion from Pfizer, from a guy at Pfizer named Scott Gottlieb, who is a board member of Pfizer, pushing for Twitter to censor stuff about the vaccines that he didn't like. And I know Scott also did that to me, but from what I saw, and I talked to other people who also took a pass at this, there wasn't necessarily a lot with Fauci. Fauci is very smart. He's certainly very smart politically. He's very careful. And, he was deposed, meaning he had to testify under oath in November of 2022 about many things, including his relationship with Twitter. And he said, I have to go back and look at how he phrased it, but that he had never directly had conversations with Twitter. And if he said that under oath, it suggests that he knows that there's no evidence to contradict that.
Didn't his daughter work at Twitter, Alex? So that's a pretty big freaking connection to me.
Yeah, but, yes, his daughter worked at Twitter, but that doesn't mean that he was telling her, hey, pull this stuff.
Okay, Alex, I'm going to stop you right there. That's like saying that Nancy doesn't tell Paul Pelosi how to do his stock trades. Okay, I don't buy that for a minute. I do think you're right, though, about Fauci being very careful and very calculated. He's done this for a long time. So I think we're going to find out more about Fauci, but I think it's going to probably have to come from House oversight. I still think that there are Fauci files out there, though, because of that Elon Musk tweet, prosecute Fauci. I mean, to put that out there, that to me indicates there's got to be something.
Well, I think unfortunately, in saying that, Elon set up an expectation that he just hasn't been able to meet. So look, he got me involved after one group of people didn't come back to him or didn't come back with the stuff that he hoped for. Now I'm not involved. Okay, now he's moved on from me. And what I said to him, at the end of our conversations was, if it's there, I'll find it and write about it, but I can't write about something that's not there. And there's a bigger issue here, right? We know the federal government put a lot of pressure on Twitter, put a lot of pressure on Facebook, put a lot of pressure on YouTube. We know that there was censorship coming from the White House, or efforts to censor at the least coming from the White House. We've seen these documents. We've seen them from Twitter. We've seen them from the Missouri lawsuit that I'm talking about that Fauci had to testify in. We know there was pressure. Okay. Fauci may have been happy enough to let other people carry the water. That's how guys like that operate. So that's what I'm saying. I fear that Elon overpromised and sort of put everybody who's been working on this in a difficult position.
Yeah, that's certainly true. I still think there's going to be something, whether it's implicating Fauci directly or, as you said, others that were carrying the water for him. I just hope we see something. But at this point, I got to tell you, Alex, what's so frustrating to me is we have so much information now about how Big Pharma said to shut up. To you, to me, to a lot of critics out there. We know this about Big Pharma. We know this about big government. We know this about big tech. We've got a lot of information that's out there in plain black and white, but people still don't seem to be getting it. I don't understand, and maybe you can help me figure this out, why the average American out there does not care that they have been lied to for over 2 years and maybe got several injections in their arms that could be possibly dangerous, and they don't give a hoot. I don't understand. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, there's, I'd say, two main reasons. First of all, the mainstream media and, to some of the elite media, whether it's the New York Times, the Washington Post, USA Today, these places have gone out of their way to downplay the Twitter files, what Elon has exposed, what's come out. To me, it's an incredible thing that we have proof that the FBI had people combing tweets and asking/telling Twitter, we want you to remove this. I think that's an insane level of censorship. The FBI is a law enforcement agency. They should not be in the business of policing speech on social media. They never should have been. And every news organization in the country, whether you're on the left or the right, that's scandalous. Okay. But because COVID became so politicized, that point, is not being made. That's A. B is, look, a lot of people got vaccinated. Okay. And I think a lot of those people, not all, but a lot, have some regret about it. At the least, they don't think it did very much good. They wound up getting COVID anyway. They don't really know anybody, from the very start of this who got really sick from COVID, who wasn't really sick to begin with. They're sort of wondering what the whole point of any of it was. I think there's a lot of that out there. And I think there's a lot of people who just want to be done. They just want to hope the vaccine didn't do anything harmful to them, and they want to move on with their lives. And I think that's a really powerful force. And unfortunately, the people on the left who pushed all this nonsense and then pushed the vaccines are capitalizing on that. They're capitalizing on, people's natural desire just to forget this ever happened.
Yeah, you can forget certain things happen, but not if you have heart problems for the rest of your life, which is the last thing that I want to ask you about, because I put this out on Twitter the other day. I said, it's really a shame to me that Democrats are so beholden to a narrative that they will continue to push a vaccine that could be potentially dangerous for a lot of Americans. So that's the last thing I want to ask you about, because there was a big interview with Damar Hamlin and Michael Strahan, in which Michael Strahan point blank asked Damar Hamlin, did the doctors tell you anything of why this happened to you? He paused for a long time, and then he responded he doesn't want to get into that. Now, when I saw that, okay, I was one of those people that said, don't jump on the vaccine when it first happened. Give it a breath. Let's wait and see. But that was incredibly suspect to me. What do you think about that whole situation?
I mean, I agree with you. I feel bad for Damar Hamlin. Okay. He's a 24-year-old kid. He doesn't know anything about, vaccine-induced myocarditis or how mRNAs work. He got hit. He collapsed. What the doctor said to him, he doesn't want to talk about. I understand all of that. Okay. I think it's unfair to him. But what I think you're absolutely completely correct about is the US now and the sort of the CDC, the public health establishment, they've gone crazy. Okay. Most of Europe now and a lot of other countries that use these mRNA vaccines, the vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna, are now explicitly saying no more boosters if you're under 50. And certainly if you're under 18, no more. And for our country to not acknowledge that reality, not acknowledge that the risk-benefit profile of this stuff for people certainly in their teens and 20s and 30s, and probably up to your 50, 60, that the risk-benefit profile is just off, is just so against these vaccines and boosters right now is crazy. The world, by the way, is not taking these. So no one is taking the advice of these people, and yet they continue to push, whereas in other countries, they're being more honest now.
Yeah, it would be nice to see that. However, I think people are already gearing up for a 2024 presidential election. So I think we're going to see them sticking to their narrative because they want to stick their butts in their elected seats. And that to me is repulsive and disgusting at best. But Alex, thank you for spending so much time with me as always. Keep tweeting away. And if you do find those Fauci files, please, for the love of God, put them out.
Out in 2 minutes. I can promise you that, Tomi.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.